All right, I think we are rolling. Welcome everyone to another installment. Happy Friday. First of all, welcome to another installment of Get a Clue in 52. This is for coaches. This edition is for coaches. The first time I did a Get a Clue in 52 book, the very first one ever in 2019. The 5 categories were communication, marketing, networking, sales, and accountability. Then I found all the mistakes in this one, cleaned it up, and did this version of it, which is a cleaner version, Get a Clue in 52. So volume 1, volume 2, I guess. Not even volume 1, I'm sorry, version 1 or 1.0, 2.0. But the idea is I read these for 2 years straight. Every Sunday night, I read these tips into the Facebook group, Get a Clue in 52. And then the second year, when I got this version, I streamed them into my YouTube channel. And then last year, I did a co-authored version with a client and friend of mine who I'll be golfing with next week. I can't wait at Madeiras Golf Course, Vipul Dayal. Shout out to Vipul if you're out there watching. We did the Entrepreneur Edition, 52 new tips, Entrepreneur Edition. So the 5 categories were all related to being an entrepreneur. It was personal branding, business acumen, business ownership, leadership and influence, and work-life balance. And so we read these tips every Tuesday night. We would start at 8 o'clock and stream into my social media channel. Then we'd just dismiss and then reconnect on his Zoom and then stream into his social media channel, a hotelier, about 14, I want to say 14,000, maybe 19,000. Sue's coming on board now. But anyway, that was fun to create the content. Hello, Sue. Welcome to you. Welcome to Patty. We'll introduce you guys in a second for some conversation. But I'm just resetting. Hey, the Get a Clue thing started with this in 2019, made a bunch of mistakes, but still was vulnerable and read the tips every single Sunday. Then cleaned up the book and got a version I'm much more happy with, right? This one's available on Amazon, so you can get this one. Read this in 2021. And then last year in 2022, we did the Entrepreneur Edition. So that brings us to this year. And so what did I want to do this year? I wanted to do something for coaches. I wanted all 52 tips to be about coaching, specifically for coaches. I mean, any of the tips in the prior versions, they'll help. They're helpful for a coach or somebody who wants to be a leader or wants coaching skill sets in their leadership toolbox. But this is really about aspiring and emerging coaches. But as I was writing it, it's really for myself too, because, and that's why it says, Get a Clue in 52 for coaches, myself included, because I have a lot to learn. I have places that I want to grow. I'm at a phase in my career right now where I'm realizing that I have more to learn. I've got more certifications to acquire. I've got more mentoring to receive in addition to the mentoring that I give. 17, 18 years into the game, I have a lot to offer aspiring and emerging coaches, even coaches that are at my level for collaborations and so forth. But I still look up to the people that have been doing a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't done yet that I want to do. So this is as much mentoring as it is memoir. It is as much, viable as it is vulnerable, because as I was going through writing this, I was laughing with and for and at myself about all the things that I still struggle with to this day. This whole idea of becoming a coach and marketing yourself as a coach and enrolling coaching clients and then delivering world-class coaching so that you get referrals and on and on and on. And then adding other things to the menu and then ultimately growing a coaching business, if you even want to call it that. I'm not a big fan of calling my coaching business a business. I don't have any employees. I've got lots of independent contractors. I've got some apprentices and some interns and some collaborations and so forth, but I don't even see it as a business that's, sustaining a livelihood for other people. That's kind of like an unofficial definition of business for me. So I do call it a coaching practice. I do have a calendar full of coaching clients, and there's room for more, by the way, if you want to get some coaching. But Sue, thank you for smiling. So I'm very careful because, this whole business thing is a challenge for a lot of coaches. A lot of coaches are struggling to make a living as a coach. I read statistics out there that, $40,000 was the threshold, that 90% of coaches out there that call themselves a coach make less than $40,000 a year as a coach, which means you're either poor or you have another job, another income. And how do we, let go of that thing and make coaching a full-time thing? Can coaching be a full-time thing? Can we do it all ourselves? Do we white label our services? There's all these questions to ask as we're building our practice and becoming viable in this profession of coaching, this skill set of coaching, this practice of coaching, wherever you want to take it. So the categories in this edition of Get a Clue in 52 we started off with 11 tips in self-promotion. So we got to become a coach and let the world know that we're a coach. And then 9 tips on engagement or enrollment. We have to enroll people in coaching. We need to get permission to coach people. So if I'm in an organization, I want permission to lead. I want to secure engagement. But if I'm a private practice coach, right, wanting people to pay me money for coaching, I want to get enrollment. So engagement or enrollment is what we focused on in the second section, those 9 tips. But I focused specifically on how I construct 2 complementary coaching sessions in order to increase my rate of enrollment, to build the rapport and give the risk-free trial of what coaching was really all about. And we had a lot of valuable tips there on how to approach complementary coaching. What I figured out early in my career that helped me build a practice, and then I taught it. I created a training around it, and that took me around the world. And we're just constantly evolving. So, but I really don't think I would have stuck with it if I didn't figure out how to enroll people in coaching. If I didn't figure out how to get my own coaching clients after delivering comp coaching, I don't know if I would have stuck with it or how I would have stuck with it. I know I don't. Well, I'm digressing. I'm entertaining so many thoughts in my head right now. The third section of the book is where we're in right now. Once you self-promote and then you get people enrolled in coaching, right? And then you got to deliver coaching. So the formula that I preach when it comes to delivering coaching, we talked about engagement already. That's always the first part. Everything we want to do as a leader, whether you're a coach, a broker, a manager, a supervisor, a business owner, a committee chair in a volunteer organization, a project manager, in a cross-functional team, anything that we want to do as a leader is going to be easier when we get permission to lead, when we get engagement, when we secure engagement, when people are enrolled, engaged, spring-loaded, excited on their own to be doing what they're doing. Everything else is easier. So engagement is always first. But after that, it's motivation plus accountability equals results. Motivation plus accountability equals results. I actually have that patent protected, logo and word mark protected for the integrity game. Subtext to the integrity game is motivation plus accountability equals results. But Fridays is not about the integrity game. It's about Get a Klu in 52. So we're in the section on motivation. And what we've got here is 10 tips on motivation. So let me go ahead and just review those real quick. The first tip in this section was going over the outcomes for motivational coaching. If we ever cognizing that, hey, this person, the subject or the direct report or the client needs motivation right now, there's 6 outcomes that we can keep in mind. And if we achieve 1, 2, or 3 of them, we're doing really, really well. But there are 6 basic outcomes, and we gave that overview. Okay. Next, the next tip that we covered, Margo, I see you out there, Margo. I see the text coming through. I can't stop what I'm doing, but I believe in you. You'll get in here. Margo's texting me that she's trying to get in, but her computer is crashing. So much good information here. We're crashing computers, and no, I'm joking. All right. I felt like Coach Joey when I said that right there. All right. So the second tip here, shout out to Coach Joey, who's out there listening and watching somewhere. Tip number 2, we started to get into our toolbox, because the way that motivational coaching breaks down is either we're giving strategies, tactics, and resources, external motivation, which is the map, the directions in the canteen of water, strategies, tactics, and resources, because there's strategies for everything. Anything that anybody could want to achieve, there's strategy for it. And there's probably more than one strategy. But the other side, which we're going to get into in the last couple of tips in this section, is the behavioral intervention. I always talk about, my wife can give me the cooking ingredients, the cooking instructions, the pots, the pans, the utensils, the spices, and lay it all out on the counter. But if I believe I'm a klutz because I burned myself in the kitchen when I was a child and I was traumatized by that, doesn't matter if I have all that strategy, tactic, and resource. I'm not going to get into the kitchen. I'm going to find a way to go through the drive-through for the kids if she asks me to make dinner for the kids. So, if you can have the best boat, best sailor, best crew, blank check, but if you believe the world is flat, you're not going to go and discover new land. So the other side of motivation is the checkup from the neck up, the behavioral intervention. The last couple of tips we get to in this section are going to cover that. But first of all, let's talk about this toolbox of strategies, tactics, and resources. So tip number 22 was we covered some emotional tools that I use. And when I say tools, I'm not talking about like a screwdriver. I'm talking about content, information, strategies, tactics, resources, websites, books, steps, processes, approaches, methodologies, those types of things that coaches need to study in order to be world class, right? And so we have some. We have some tools to help people manage their emotions, get in touch with their emotions, recognize their emotions, author state of mind, etc. We understand drivers of inner psychology. We know what people want, right? There's some tools that we have there to help people emotionally. And then we moved on to tip number 23, physical tools. I was having a conversation. It was a complimentary coaching session actually earlier this week with a woman who's got really, really fantastic aspirations in real estate. And she was honest enough and vulnerable enough and ready enough to keep one of her 3 goal areas protected for health. She knew, I didn't even have to tell her. She knew that I can give her all the strategy for real estate in the world, and I can help teach her how to run the business and the whole deal. I could do all of that strategy, tactic, and resources on how to build a real estate career and how to compete in real estate and how to market yourself and how to differentiate and how to be the best buying agent, how to be the best listing agent. If you don't list, you don't last. We got all these strategies and tactics, right? Doesn't matter if her health isn't sound, right? Just doesn't matter. You're building a mansion on top of quicksand. So emotional tools, physical tools are really foundational. We started there for obvious, what I hope are obvious reasons. This little summary real quick. I love this acronym, to bed, get to bed so you can rest peacefully. So managing our thoughts, our exercise, our breathing, of course, what we eat and what we drink. If we can make improvements to any one of those 5, ideally all 5 of those 5, we will rest peacefully when it's time to go to sleep rather than tossing and turning and stressing out and insomnia and on all of the other things, right? If we take care of ourselves, we will rest peacefully. And then that's when the body regenerates itself and restores itself and heals itself. So we want to awaken our inner healer, as my good friend and former chiropractic guru kind of guy, Dr. Caden Maxwell used to tell me, awaken that inner healer, because all of our bodies are ready to heal. Now, then we went into relationship tools. And Sue, I got to give my tip of the cap to you, Sue, because you were online with me that week. It was 2 weeks ago, I believe, right? And it was like the biggest tip in the whole book. It was like 3, 4, 5 pages or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if I want to read the whole thing word for word. And you're like, go for it, Jeff. And I don't even know if you said that, but you kind of non-verbally encouraged me. And we went for it. And so thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. So relationship tools, I talk about attraction. People come together because they're opposites. Opposites attract. But then compatibility. If you got 2 people that do things differently, what's the compatibility all about? Including the willingness to commit, the capacity to commit, the willingness to commit, which is be vulnerable, sacrifice, compromise, and all the stuff that we know is part of the deal when it comes to loving relationships. And then, well, how do we ensure accountability? Well, it's communication. And so we covered a lot of the communication modules that I can share with people that will enhance their most cherished relationships. I've got a lot of pride around the success I've had in relationships. People make relationships one of their 3 goal areas. I've, helped people attract their soulmate, or I've helped people figure out, should they stay in their marriage or should they divorce, right? A very tough decision. I've helped, we've done behavioral assessments to help people communicate more effectively in their relationships and all kinds of other things. Help people get past the fear of commitment, right? One of my clients actually asked me to speak to their oldest son, who they were in love with the future daughter-in-law, but the guy wasn't pulling the trigger. So they asked me to do 1 or 2 sessions, do a book recommendation to get him past the fear of commitment, etc. I got invited to the wedding. So I love talking about relationships, and it's something that I feel is a very rich and wealthy area in my own life. And I'm excited to work with others on that and put some of those tools into the book. And then, admittedly, this isn't the greatest area of my life. Financial tools. I'm way smarter now when it comes to finances than I was when I became a coach, right? All of the people that I've gotten to coach, they teach me, I learn. Ideally, I'm always coaching somebody that's doing better in life than I am, right? So I can learn from them. It's not always the case, right? But I've learned so much from so many people, including Vipul Dial, who I mentioned earlier. And, I've coached financial advisors, right? One of my clients is a regional director for a former military bank that now does financial advising for military families. So I can talk more about investments, annuities, and, insurance strategies and tax and so forth. But we keep it simple here. It's like, hey, do you have a budget? What's coming in? What's going out? What's left over? Is it positive or negative? If positive, invest, save, and then go get what you want. If it's negative, increase income, decrease expenses. I mean, very basic stuff. And that basic stuff can pop the cork off of the bottle and help things flow. Because people would rather, I'm going to quote my good friend Jason Surya from First Command Financial. Jason, if you're out there, I'm going to quote you. Way back when you asked me to help you with public speaking when you were building your practice, and you said, I remember at an event that you held downtown, you said on quote stage in front of all of your guests, people would rather talk about their sex life than their finances. I'll never forget when he said that. Wow, isn't that interesting, right? How ashamed or how much baggage or how much fear or suspicion or ignorance there may be surrounding finances. And the goal of coaching isn't to have every financial solution for people. It's to get people ready to talk about it. And then we can refer financial advisors or fiduciaries or estate planning attorneys. We want to have a deliverables team of people that can go deeper into their realm of expertise. But as coaches, we want to have these tools in our toolbox to introduce into the coaching conversation to see if people are willing to even make effort. Are they willing to sacrifice discipline, talk to somebody, be vulnerable, and make changes in this area? That's our job, is getting people ready to make change and supporting them on those first couple of steps. So all right, deep breath now. That takes us to today, time management tools. And before I get into today's tip on reading word for word, let me go ahead and say thank you, Patty and Sue, for being here today. Happy Friday. How are you guys? Do you guys have anything to say, add, or ask before I move into a word for word tip reading today?
I'm fine. I just am always impressed on the command you have of your book, your practice, your belief in everything. Very
well. Cool. Yeah, I thank you for that. I'm not sure how to say. I'm kind of double-minded right now because I saw a message come across from Margot that she's trying to get on. Maybe I messed up and put the wrong link in. I'm not sure.
There's a typo. She needs to be putting in tip 26, but the
okay.
link says 25.
Okay, that's what it is. Hang on. Let me just get her going real quick. tinyurl.com/get-a-clue-tip-26. All right, I want her to join because Margot is somebody that I mentioned earlier in the session that I look up to. Margot is the director of VP of programs for the Professional Coaches Alliance. I'm vice president of communication, Professional Coaches Alliance. And one of the greatest things that has happened to me by associating myself with the Professional Coaches Alliance is interacting with Margot, learning from her, gleaning from all of her experience, a strong leader in human resources. And so a lot of what I do is related to human resources, and the direction that I'm taking my coaching career is in training, development, HR, corporate associations, whereas previously I'd been solopreneurs, micro business owners, etc., right? Life service professionals when I was doing the Get a Klu brand. Now with the Integrity Game brand, this is going association, corporate, and governmental organizations. So Margot is the type of person that I really look up to, and I know that I have a lot to learn from. So I always go out of my way to make sure that she can be here. So Margot, I sent you via email the correct link, and maybe I'll put it in the comments here. Link to join. If people want to get into the conversation, www.tinyurl.com/get-a-clue-tip-26. So hopefully that goes out in comment, and anybody that wants to can join. Hello, Brianna, I see you. As I look at the comments now instead of the banners and all of that good stuff. But thank you for your compliment, Patty, and thank you, Sue, for calibrating the typo on the link. And without any further ado, you guys ready to get into today's tip, time management? Now, before I get into it, I do this every time. I see time in quotes and little bunny ears, right? Time. So you guys know, Patty and Sue, you guys know from being in group mentoring and all the work that we've done together over the years that I don't like calling it time management, right? And so at some point, I'm sure I'm going to read to you why, right? So rather than just speak ad lib, it's sometimes, Patty, like what you said, sometimes I have so much command of the content in the book and the tips that I'm free flowing and I'm talking because it's just coming out of me. And then I go to read and I end up repeating what I had just said because that's, right. It's interesting because sometimes, there's people out there that have written books and they couldn't tell you the name of the character in their own book. You know what I'm saying? But I'm definitely walking, talking, breathing, living this content every day. And cheers to you on, I hope you've got a nice warm tea or cup of coffee. I hope it's not too hot out there in Chicago, by the way. All right, here we go. If you're following along at home, page 107, tip number 26 is time management tools. Here we go. The first tool for time management is to stop calling it time management. I will elaborate on perspectives for time management in the accountability section where this topic gets its very own tip. For now, the tool is to get our clients to acknowledge that time manages itself and to get more self-responsibility for decisions focused on priority behavior instead of time. Another tool for, quote, task, and I put in parentheses here if you don't have the book in front of you, I call it task. And then in parentheses, self, decision, calendar, priority, energy, activity management is goal setting. I briefly referred to SMART, S-M-A-R-T, goal setting in the section on enrollment, and I will also elaborate further on this approach to goal setting in the accountability section. For now, I'll simply state that goal setting, when done properly, is, in my opinion, the single most powerful way to manage our decisions in time. Here's a summary of additional tools I use to help clients in the area of decision management without going into super detail about the how of it all, hoping you'll join the live tip reading sessions that we're doing today to discuss these tools further. So number one, read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Develop a working understanding of the importance/urgency matrix. Oh, let me just get another, lost some of my light. Right, you guys, have you guys ever seen the urgency versus importance matrix? Right, so that's a very easy thing to command, very easy thing to understand. Stephen Covey, great book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a tough book to get through. It's a thick book, and there's a lot there. But if you go straight for the section on what he calls time management, and you master, understand, learn how to, there you go. Excellent, Patty. You learn how to see your decision making through the urgent versus important. A lot of times we get pulled into urgent and we ignore the important in favor of the urgent when the urgent isn't important. And coming to terms with those things is important. I'm realizing here I've got about 9 minutes left. I got to do a short stop today. So let me go ahead and get through the rest of this. Number 2, by the way, exercise the rules and goals approach to scheduling appointments with self. So back to Covey, right? Not only the matrix, but also roles and goals. What are the roles that I play with my life? What are the goals that I'm trying to achieve for each of those roles? And then if I could only achieve 1, what would it be? If I could only achieve 2, what would it be? And then you start, the roll bones connected, the roll bones connected to the goal bone, and the goal bones connected to the right strategy bone, and the strategy bone's connected to the tactic bone, and the tactic bone's connected to the appointment with self bone, and your calendar. And write this way to your calendar, please. We break things down and get people into their calendars to make commitments to do the things that are of most importance. I'll give you an example, and I'm elaborating more than I want to, but I have one of my roles in my life is brother. I have a brother in Las Vegas who got sick last week. He was in the emergency room, and they found a mass on his liver that was like 6 inches long. It ended up being just an abscess. Thank God they scraped it, and he's good, and he's going home now, and all of the other stuff. But I bring this up because that's a role in my life, and I care about my brother deeply, right? But I don't have any goals right now set for that role in my life. When I make the list of roles, there's other roles that I'm playing, like business owner, coach, dad. There's other, author, speaker. There's other roles that I'm playing in my life that are going to get priority. So when my brother calls me and he says, Jeff, I'm in the hospital. If I don't have these other roles and I don't have these other goals, I drop everything and I go to Vegas immediately, right? But because I have other roles, because I have other goals, I can take a deep breath and receive this information, stay calm, and put the real need, the real urgency, the real importance of what's my role in this situation here in the context of all the other things. It's not always easy. Sometimes we get pulled in different directions and we have to make decisions. It's not time that we're managing. It's our decisions. You guys understand? All right, next. Read Getting Things Done by David Allen. Accept that there's never enough time in the day to do everything, but always enough time in the day to do the most important things. Make incremental improvements in the processing of work and workflow management. Next. Adopt the weekly practice of a power hour focused solely on evaluating and renegotiating calendar items for the week. Incorporate roles and goals with this activity. Adopt a daily win email practice where you visualize what it will take to win the day and email that in action item format to yourself and your coach or accountability partner. By the way, anybody's invited to see samples of any of these practices that I do. Like I've got a whole series of daily win emails that I send to myself and my coach. And it's a challenging practice to every single night before a working day to send an email to yourself and your coach declaring what actions you need to take in order to feel like you won the day that day, right? And sometimes we get to all of it. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes things shift, but we set that intention the night before we wake up ready to go. And it's challenging. I've never once done it for an entire year. The most I've done is like 9 out of 12 months, or 6 months at a time. After a while, so much activity, so much goodness comes where I can't take the 15 minutes anymore. I just want to go to sleep because I've generated so much good stuff. But it's a really fantastic practice. When I want to ramp up, when I want to make sure there's things flowing, I get into the habit of daily win. I was doing it all the way up until, I want to say, late April or early May this year. And if I screen shared and showed what these daily win emails look like, you would be surprised, but I'm happy to share that with anybody in one-on-ones or what have you. All right, next. Oh, here comes Margot. Awesome. Next, use synergy in looking for actions you can take that serve. Let me jump her into the thing here. Hang on. Bam, there's Margot. All right. Hello. Hey. All right.
Hi.
All right. We're getting done with the word for word. Let me finish up. Use synergy in looking for actions you can take that serve more than one purpose. Use leverage in looking for actions you can take that make other actions easier. Next point. Quote, never do anything at 1 p.m. that you can do at 1 a.m. is a saying that reminds us to consider the best time of day to do something. For example, I like to work with people during business hours and paper at night. Ask what the task really is. Then when is the best day of the week and time of day to do it? Okay. Next, determine a dollar value that you believe your time to be worth. Make plans to delegate all things that someone else can do for less per hour. Next, business plans and position descriptions. When coaching small business owners and entrepreneurs, a huge time-saving project is to make sure they have an updated business plan and position descriptions, including performance standards and KPIs, key performance indicators, to shine light on inefficiencies on what gets measured and what gets done. Finally, cloud-based calendaring, a scheduling service like Schedule Once or Calendly, and adopting additional, well, I think that's awkward right there, and adopting additional tech tools is what I'm just going to eliminate other. And adopting additional tech tools or apps can be invaluable time savers. I love, for example, the app Tiny Scanner that allows me to make make PDF docs using my phone's camera. What a godsend. Anyway, there are endless additional strategies, tactics, and resources to share with clients to improve their meaningful productivity. Hopefully the summary above adds something to your toolbox. And I went quickly through these things to save some time for some dialogue. But there's more that I could say about each of these, and there's more where all of this came from. So there you have it. Tip 26, we're adding, in addition to the mental or the emotional tools, physical tools, financial tools, now we're adding time management tools to our coaching toolbox. So we've got tons of strategies, tactics, and resources that we can share with our coaching prospects or direct reports, what have you, when it's our chance to lead and when we got them engaged and we've got permission. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you thought about this? Hey, you want to hear something that one of my clients did and it worked really well for them? So we want to shine light on these options, introduce these strategies, tactics, and resources, especially when we can match a strategy to the behavioral style if we've done a good job enrolling and assessing who we're working with. And then we'll know, right? And we'll get to this later on in this section. Then we'll know if they need a checkup from the neck up, if we're trying to build a mansion on top of quicksand, to give them strategy at all. Is there something else that we need to work on first before we'll figure all of this out. If they're having a hard time taking action on a proven strategy that's broken down into very simple and digestible action steps, and they're not taking action, then we're going to have to go through another door to get to the motivation. So I've got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to text and see if I can buy myself a couple more minutes and open it up to a little bit of conversation, comments, questions on the heels of my gratitude that you're all here. It's so great to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I just wanted to, excuse me, to add that last month at the PCA monthly meeting, Mary Kravitz made a comment that I just hit me profoundly. She said, the word priorities, plural, has only been in existence for the last 100 years. Prior to that, the word was priority.
Priority. It's almost really oxymoronic. It's like jumbo shrimp, right?
Yeah, you can only have one priority. It's this notion of us trying to juggle, multiple things, multitask, all the, same thing, that we invented the word priorities. But in reality, you can only have one thing that is most important that you need to do first.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it could spend a lot of time getting into linguistics, language, the evolution, the anthropology of language, and because it sparks thoughts and curiosities around like big rabbit holes there. But yeah, it's oxymoronic. Jumbo shrimp and nuclear safety and all of these jokes that we can make. But yeah, priorities is inherently ambiguous and contradictory. And, there's a lot of words in our U.S. Constitution that are saying, right, inherently ambiguous and contradictory. But that's part of the fun of wrestling through it and having great conversations and understanding how people interpret things and manage their priorities. great introduction, a great contribution. And I bet Mary was fabulous. One of the things I love about her is how like tranquil and soothing her disposition is, and how she's really focused on just making everything easy. And it doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't, keep it simple. So shout out to Professional Coaches Alliance. And in addition to Mary Kravitz, there's so many other wonderful speakers that Margot is booking on a monthly basis to do Connect and Learns and to do Biz Labs. And it's a fruitful environment. So to any aspiring or emerging coach or a seasoned coach that knows that they're ready to give back to others that are emerging in the profession, check out Professional Coaches Alliance. You're almost slitting your throat financially not to join. It's so affordable based on the value.
Okay, I don't know that I'd go that far.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for stopping me there. But go ahead. Last call for comments. I'm just trying to promote the PCA. Okay. Comments, questions, jokes, anything before we dismiss for today. I will make sure that the link is correct next time, Margot. If you ever have that thing, just check. This is 26, so next week it'll be 27. Same thing, but it'd be 27 if I've made any sort of technical errors. But thank you guys for being here and making my energy spike when I see the acumen and the genius that I'm looking at right now among these three women. I get super excited, I get pumped up, and I want to make you guys proud and do really well. So thank you for being here for me. And I hope that you're getting a lot out of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the future weeks coming up. Any last comments, questions, jokes, or expressions before we get into the midway point of the year and Independence Day and all that good stuff we celebrate here in the United States?
Celebrating my 45th wedding anniversary tomorrow.
Oh my God! Congratulations,
wow.
Margot!
Congratulations!
Congratulations, Margot!
Thank you.
That's great. 45 years. Wow.
I know.
All right. It's tongue
You didn't think I was that old, did you?
No, I did not. I was going to say, because you had me, because that's how much I'm like, 45th birthday. I didn't think you were that young either, but I didn't think you were going to say wedding anniversary. I thought you were going to say birthday. So you had me like 45, no way. And then wedding, you're like, oh, no way. So you had me twice. You had me fooled twice, Margot. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. We'll see you next week. And email me or call me if you have anything that you want to prepare ahead of time. You guys have the book. You know what's coming up. If you guys want a more featured role, if you want to speak or present any content to add, just let me know ahead of time, and I'll make sure that I budget that time for you guys. You all have things to add to these conversations that I'm hosting every week, all of you. So let me know, and the floor is yours, especially if you're taking the time to join on the StreamYard side. If you've got some content that you want to deliver and expand what we're doing for people out there, then by all means. And that's not just for you guys online right now, but anybody watching out here. I'm easy to find. If you want to be a guest, if you want to be interviewed, if you've got some content to contribute to one of the tips that I'm reading, contact me. Let me know. Let's set it up. We're always, the more the merrier is one of my policies. So I love you guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Happy Friday, and God bless the United States of America.
Indeed. Ignore all of my emails about help I can't get on.
Yeah, it's okay. It's part of the color. It's part of the color that we have here on a Friday. Because if I was doing this on Wednesday in the middle of the week and there was all that, but Friday is okay to have a couple of mishaps. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.